Tweet! Tweet! Oh! It's you! They told me if I started tweeting, I'd get more interest in Mora. Let's see if it works. Welcome to Mora, a journey in time. And here we are already, devlog number 12. And it really does promise to be an interesting one this week, because this devlog is going to see how we got from the process where we've been on all the other devlogs to the point where we've got an actual demo for the Unity showcase. I found out that this showcase was ending about 3 days before I started getting to work on it. So it was an interesting 3 days, and I'm going to take you over the process of the things that I was doing to get to that point. So let's jump in, let's take a look and see how we got there. As always, if you like it, don't forget to like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and add a comment to let me know any feedback or suggestions. Let's jump in. Now the menu seems like an obvious place to start for me. It was the place that the user, or the player I should say, would end up first. So that's where I started. I was trying to figure out exactly how I wanted the menu to work, because there doesn't need to be many options for this. It just needs to be new game and exit game. We haven't got loading and saving in at the moment. So what I was doing is just playing around here, trying to get something in place that would work, that would look right. I had a suggestion from Timps, which I'm very grateful for, putting a little message on the intro and having on the main menu and having the buttons below it. And this is what I'm working towards here, sort of welcoming the player to this demo. Although it is a very tiny demo, I still wanted to make the player feel welcome at this point and just explain that this is a small demo ready for them. And that's what we managed to achieve here, a nice little message with the new game buttons, and you'll see in a moment, we'll see as I play the game, bottom right, we get to see how it turned out. We're in the vault at the moment. We're trying to create some gameplay and trying to make this room interesting if we can. So we've added some actions to these objects and just made them interactable to a certain extent. And then we're doing door work. So many doors in the vault, I didn't realise until I got around to doing them. So much work to hook them all up. So this is a short snippet of just getting these doors sorted out. Now this part is something that didn't actually make it into the demo. And the idea was that when you walk in this room, those that have played it will know that you mentioned something in dialogue, and the idea was that the camera would spin round as that happens as well, but as I say, I just didn't get a chance to actually put that into the finished demo. So again, just adding some interactions to these objects, making sure it's all working, and doing a bit of puzzle work now. So the puzzles are attached to the doors, but at the moment it's sort of in the middle of space, so needed to create a little room for that to be housed in, essentially, so it looks a little bit better, and just try and fit it in with the style that the rest of the buildings have as well, but just more of a box. The puzzles will actually be getting some love over the next few weeks. They're going to be completely restyled so they fit in with the game a lot more, and we'll see more of that happening in the coming devlogs. I then sorted the camera out and I got the lighting in place as well, so it's actually useful to be able to see the puzzle when you're using it. Move on to the inside of the vault, and I wanted a little area where you had to go to get a bit of interaction with the player. So this is just me setting up a collider in an area that would take place in, and then again more doors. We've seen there's a lot of doors in here. I wanted this particular room, I wanted this door to open automatically when you go into this area, so this is just me setting those actions up, and clearly failed there. The door spins off to the right hand side, so we had another go, got it sorted out, and thankfully this time it worked as intended. So more gameplay again, just getting Malachi in place here, setting him up, setting his room up, so we've got somebody downstairs to look at, and another collider for a message that will appear when you look and see Malachi through that window. And now we've got the chest. If you've played the demo, obviously loads of spoilers in this, but this is one of the puzzles to find a key card to actually get through to Malachi. So this is the process of me just setting that up and getting the item in place, getting all the actions in place, and then I'll go on to create the puzzle for it as well, so that you can actually unlock it and open it to pick out that key card. Just getting some sound effects in place as well, getting the player in, make it easier for testing. here we are, we're setting the puzzle up, make sure that's generated properly, and then we'll go through in and test it, see if it works. Yay, it worked. Now again, if you've been on the demo already, you'll see there's a little hologram in the middle, and this is just the process of getting that set up, making it look nice and fitting. What we've got here now is me in the final room of the demo, just getting things set up so that we've got a bit of a finale, a bit of dialogue between Malachi and you as the player as well. So I wanted to try and get this in place, so the interface was all in here, and then I thought, right, I'm going to try putting it somewhere else, and I thought of having this camera that went round the complex and through into this room, and I just realised it was going to take far too much time. So I decided to just try and have this little interface in here. The idea was the camera would then just switch to this place. So this is me trying to build that interface, trying to get the room in place, well, the room set up so it's there. And I was tweaking around a little bit. It took me quite a while fiddling around with this, trying to get the hologram right, trying to get the lights right. And I did go around back and forth a little bit trying to make it work, but eventually I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy with the way it was turning out. So I decided to ditch this, and we went back to the main room and do it there. So here we are now back in the main room, and I'd already done a little bit of work by this point getting this interface in place. So you'll see it's quite the standard interface that I'm going for at the moment in the Mora, with the hologram or the holographic projector at the bottom and presenting this UI above it. And for anybody that's watched any of my other devlogs and I've discussed my design process, this is very typical of me. I'll put something in place and I'll just keep working at it. Very iterative process for me. I'll add little bits here and there and just see what fits. So you'll see as this progresses that there were certain bits I just wasn't happy with, so I just started moving them around and getting it to the place where I was actually content with the look and the feel of it. So we see here I've framed the buttons that were originally just images. I've made everything a little bit bigger there as well. We've got this big Steam button that's going on the bottom there. Now eventually this changes again, but for this iteration I was quite happy with it up till this point, and I was getting the camera work in place, but for me it looked odd with that bottom right part there that just doesn't have any button on it. So again, after playing around a little bit, I decided to just duplicate the YouTube button and get a Twitter image in there instead, so that we can at least fill that space and it looks a little bit more even. I'm a big fan of symmetry, so you'll generally find when I'm doing things that everything's quite symmetrical, and if it's not, I start twitching. So this is just getting that Twitter button in place there. I did have a few issues as well with sizing, so it took a few back and forths of clicking play and stopping to get the sizing right, but eventually we got it all working. Really happy with the outcome, and it looks quite nice. So at this point I'm feeling really happy with the progress. I'm happy with how the build's turning out. I'm happy with the gameplay that I've implemented so far. I've got about a day and a half left, and there's something about making games, and it's baking lights. Now baking lights in Unity has always been quite slow, so I've got this asset called Bakery. Absolutely fantastic at baking lights. The problem I've got is I'm nearly done. I'm at the point where I'm happy, and then I go to upload it to Unity Showcase.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
So it turns out that my project was 1.35 gigabytes with all of this baked lighting. And the baked lighting, it looks absolutely fantastic, and I was so happy. But I spent about 24 hours from that point trying to get the lighting down to a size that would upload to Unity. And the lowest I could get it down to was about 250 meg. I just couldn't squeeze any more off than that. So we ended up going with real-time lighting for the demo. It's not as performant as I wanted, it doesn't look as good. I had to chop a lot of the lighting out to get it to that point. So when the proper demo comes out, we'll have a proper view of how I expected Mora to turn out with the lighting. But the point is, we got it down with the live lighting. We had loads of amazing feedback when I first launched the demo. Loads of people were playing it, and I'm really thankful to everybody that did play it, and especially for those that reported back bugs and little tweaks that they think should be made. And one of the suggestions that was made was to actually add a free roam ability or a button after the menu, because you get to the menu and that's it, you can't do anything else. So this is the process of this interface changing again, just to move the wishlist button over, make it a bit smaller, and add this free roam function as well. We also had a couple of bugs reported where players got stuck, so what we did then is just moved a couple of objects around just to make sure players could actually move around and not get stuck in the game. I thought in this week's segment of Couch Time with Allan, I'd discuss what went through my mind when I was thinking about releasing this demo of Mora. And the main issue I could think of at the time was, I'm not ready to release the game yet. But from my perspective, I wanted to get the demo there for the showcase, because I thought it'd be a nice opportunity to show Mora off a little bit. So I had this bit of a mental battle going on, because I wanted to do that, but then I didn't want to give the wrong impression about Mora, because obviously if it's not finished and people start playing it, then their perception of what you're actually going to deliver might change. And I thought it might make an interesting talking point, because we all get to that point where it's crunch time, where we've either got to do something, we've either got to release it, or we don't, and we delay it. And we've seen so many games in the past that have delayed because they're not ready. Now don't get me wrong, Mora isn't ready to be a released game yet, and I did push to get a demo out. Now ultimately this decision came down to me doing this because I know my community, and I know the community that I've got behind me would look at the game and they'd see what I'm trying to achieve, and they'll know what the quality is that I'm aiming for. They won't take this as my finished product. But then this is a balancing game, because for you in your community, in your area, with whatever you're doing, whether this is a game, whether it's a piece of software, whether it's some art, you've got to know your audience. And it could be that you decide not to do something like this because this first impression might actually do more harm than good. So with Mora and this demo on the showcase, on the Unity showcase, I did take a little bit of a gamble with this. I decided to let it go, and thankfully it's paid off. A lot of people have given good feedback. We've had a lot of reports from the community, and I'm ever so thankful for all of that. We've had so many people join Discord because of the showcase as well. So for me, it's paid off. But there is a word of caution there. Be careful about letting people see things too early, because it could just cause you more problems in the future. Just an interesting thought and my insight from showcasing Mora. And there we have it. We've come to the worst part of a devlog, the end. But what a roller coaster it was last week when all this work was taking place for the showcase. And as I said, I'm really happy with the outcome. The link for the Unity Showcase demo will be in the description, so go ahead and click on that if you want to have a go. It should be stable enough on all of the platforms now. We did have some issues where some people couldn't play the WebGL version, but it is working now. Any problems, feel free to pop a comment on the video. But as I say, if you have enjoyed the video, please hit like, please subscribe. It really does help the channel, it helps the content as well get seen by more people. And we'll see you in the next one.